Eli Grant had been alone in the dark of space for a long time. The stars outside his ship were cold and far away like silent watchers. He was an engineer, a man used to fixing things, but now even he could not fix what was coming. His small ship, the Ardent Dawn, had suffered a reactor failure deep in uncharted space. The systems were falling apart one by one, and the air filters were close to giving up. The only hope was a risky repair system that would rebuild the ship's core while he slept in a stasis pod. It was supposed to last 2 weeks. It was supposed to keep him safe. Eli prepared the chamber in silence. He removed his uniform and stepped into the stasis pod, feeling the cold gel rise around him. It was strange to feel so helpless to trust machines with his life, but he had no choice. The pod closed, sealing him in, and the hum of the ship faded to a low, steady beat. His eyes grew heavy as the gel numbed his body, and soon he was asleep, drifting alone, wrapped in artificial dreams. When his eyes opened again, everything was different. At first he thought he was still dreaming. The air was warm, soft, and bright. The sound of wind whispered in his ears. He blinked several times, expecting to see the steel walls of his ship, but instead he saw a ceiling made of light, smooth and golden, shifting like water. The surface he lay on was not metal. It felt alive, humming beneath his skin like the heartbeat of some giant creature. He sat up slowly, confused. His stasis pod was gone. His ship was gone. The light around him glowed brighter as if it reacted to his movement. He called out, "Hello? Is anyone here?" But his voice echoed endlessly, swallowed by the silence. Then something changed. The light shimmered and twisted. Strange shapes began to appear in the air, soft silhouettes that looked almost human but were made of glowing lines. They were tall and graceful, their forms bending like flames in the wind. A strange hum filled the space, not quite a sound but a feeling in his mind. He felt words that were not spoken. "Do not fear," the voice said, though no lips moved. "You are among the Aorians." Eli's breath caught in his throat. He stood frozen, unsure if he was awake or trapped in some hallucination. The beings drifted closer, their light touching the ground without casting shadows. They surrounded him, studying him like scientists might study a rare discovery. One of them stepped forward. Her light was softer, tinted with faint gold. When she spoke, her tone carried warmth. "You have slept long, traveler. Your vessel drifted beyond the stars. We found you lost between worlds." Eli stared at her, trying to understand. "Drifted? For how long?" The beings were silent for a moment. Then the answer came, not through words, but directly into his thoughts. 400 years. The words hit him like a shock. 400 years. The air left his lungs. Everything he knew, Earth, humanity, his friends, was gone. Time had taken it all while he slept. He tried to breathe, but his chest felt heavy. "That's not possible," he whispered. "The pod, it was only supposed to last for 2 weeks. The storm of the void changed time around you," said the Golden One. "You were hidden in the folds of silence. When we found you, your body was still alive, your mind still dreaming. We brought you here." Eli looked around at the glowing chamber again. It was beautiful and strange. The walls were covered in symbols that shifted like living code. Streams of light moved through the air like tiny stars being born and dying in seconds. It was beyond anything human science could build. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why bring me here?" The beings glanced at one another, their bodies flickering softly. The Golden One looked back at him. "Because you are different. We are a people who have forgotten the feeling of life. We do not dream. We do not sleep. We saw in your memories what we lost." Eli felt his heartbeat slow. "You saw my memories?" "Yes," she said gently. "We studied your mind while you rested. You dreamed of oceans, of laughter, of loss and hope. You dreamed of home. We wanted to understand what it means to be alive." He stood silent for a long moment. There was something haunting in her voice. These beings, these Aorians, seemed powerful and ancient, yet lonely. They looked at him not with threat but with wonder, as if he carried something sacred inside him. Finally, he found his voice. "You said I'm different, but I'm just human." The Golden One's light flickered brighter. "Humanity no longer exists. You are the last we have found." Those words sank deep. He turned away, his mind spinning. The thought of being the last of his kind was too heavy. The silence pressed down on him, but then he felt a soft warmth on his arm. He looked down and saw her light touching him gently, her form now shifting to appear more solid. Like a woman made of starlight, Her eyes glowed with faint emotion. "Do not be afraid," she said. "You are not alone. You carry the memories of your people, the spark of what was. Through you, we may learn again." Eli's throat tightened. He didn't know what to say. He had spent years among stars, always dreaming of finding life, and now he had. But it was not what he expected. He thought of his family back on Earth, long gone. He thought of the blue sky he would never see again. Yet for some reason he didn't feel only sorrow. There was something in the golden being's presence, something kind, almost human. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She hesitated as if the question surprised her. "Name," she repeated. "We have not used names in many cycles, but if it will comfort you, you may call me Lyra." Eli nodded slowly. "Lyra," he said. The sound felt right, like music. Lyra tilted her head. "Eli Grant, you are not lost. You have been chosen." "Chosen?" he asked. "For what?" "To remind us what it means to feel," she said simply. Eli looked around again, trying to understand everything that had happened. He had gone to sleep as a man trying to save his ship. Now he was standing in a world of living light, surrounded by beings who saw him as something rare. He didn't know what his future would be, but he knew this. The universe had not forgotten him. Lyra's form shimmered beside him, her eyes filled with a light that seemed almost like hope. "Come," she said. "There is much for you to see. Your awakening has already begun to change us." Eli followed her through the glowing chamber, his footsteps echoing on the soft floor. As he walked, the walls pulsed with gentle waves of color, as if responding to his heartbeat. He didn't know where they were going or why fate had chosen him, but for the first time in centuries he felt something stir in his chest. It wasn't fear. It was wonder. He had gone to sleep as a lonely man in the dark of space. Now he was awake, surrounded by living stars, and for the first time he truly felt alive. The world around him seemed to breathe with him, glowing brighter with every step. Somewhere far above, unseen forces shifted. The Aorians had awakened something in their realm they thought was gone forever, and Eli Grant, the last human, had no idea that his very existence would soon change the fate of a civilization. He looked at Lyra, her golden light moving beside him like the reflection of a sun he once knew. She glanced back at him and smiled, a faint, almost human smile, and in that moment Eli realized that he was not just a survivor. He was the spark that would teach a forgotten world how to dream again, and for the first time in 400 years he no longer felt alone. Eli Grant had spent many days, if days even existed in this strange world, learning from the Aorians. Time flowed differently here. There was no sunrise, no sunset, only soft light that changed colors like a calm ocean. The beings of energy didn't sleep or eat. They existed in perfect balance, feeding from the power of stars. Yet when they looked at Eli, they felt something new, something they had lost long ago and didn't know how to name. Lyra stayed close to him. She was different from the others. She had taken on a human-like shape, though her body was still made of shimmering light. When she walked beside him, the ground beneath her feet glowed softly. She spoke in calm, musical tones that always reached his heart. She showed him how their cities floated like islands in the sky, made of crystal and energy. Great towers reached upward like frozen lightning, and long bridges of light connected one structure to another. Everywhere he looked, Aorians watched him curiously. They followed his movements, studying the way he spoke, the way he smiled, even the way he breathed. To them, everything about him was strange and fascinating. They could build worlds with their minds, yet they didn't understand something as simple as laughter. Lyra led him through a large hall where energy streams flowed like rivers. "This is our memory flow," she explained. "Here we keep what remains of our history. But we no longer feel it. We can see it, but we cannot connect to it. We forgot what emotion means." Eli listened silently. He could hear the hum of the energy all around. "You said I reminded you of what you lost," he said softly. "But I'm just one man." Lyra stopped walking. Her glowing eyes met his. One spark is enough to light a world again. He didn't know what to say. Her words carried a quiet weight that made him think deeply. Everywhere he went, the Aorians treated him as something special. They asked him questions about Earth, about rain, music, the smell of forests, the feeling of holding another's hand. He tried to describe it all. But how could he describe life to beings who had never felt warmth or sorrow? Still, he tried. And each time he spoke, their world changed a little. The walls glowed softer when he laughed. The air rippled gently when he told them stories about his past. Slowly, the Aorians began to show signs of emotion. They smiled, though they had no lips. They hummed softly, though they had no voices. Lyra seemed the most affected of all. She began to imitate his mannerisms. She tilted her head when curious, paused before answering questions, even reached out her hand sometimes, though she could not truly touch him. Eli could sense something growing between them, something fragile but beautiful. One moment stayed with him. They stood at the edge of a crystal platform overlooking their glowing world. "When I look at you," Lyra said softly, "I feel something inside me. Something I cannot name." Eli smiled faintly. "That's what being alive feels like." Her light shimmered brighter. "Alive," she repeated, almost like she was testing the word. Alive. Days later, Lyra brought him to a vast chamber brighter than any he had seen before. Energy waves swirled around like storms of color. "This is the heart of Continuum," she told him. "It is where our world connects to others. It is where we make choices." Eli looked at her, uncertain. "Why bring me here?" "Because you must choose now," she said quietly. The other Aorians appeared around them, forming a circle of glowing figures. The air hummed with deep vibration. Lyra stepped closer to him and spoke so softly he almost couldn't hear. "We have learned from you. Your presence changed us. For the first time in thousands of cycles, we feel again. We wish to give you a choice." Eli frowned slightly. "A choice?" "You may return," she said. "We can rebuild your ship. We can send you back into the physical world. But know this, your world is gone. Humanity has faded into history. You will be alone among empty stars." He lowered his eyes. The thought of drifting again through endless space filled him with a deep sadness. "And if I don't go?" he asked quietly. "Then you may stay," Lyra said. "We will merge your essence with our realm. You will not age. You will not hunger or sleep. But your human body will fade. You will live as one of us forever." Eli looked around the chamber. The light moved like living wind. Every Aorian was silent, waiting for his answer. His heart beat slowly, painfully. Both choices were heavy. To return meant endless loneliness. To stay meant leaving behind what little human life he still had. He turned to Lyra. "And you? What do you want me to do?" Her light dimmed for a moment. "I do not know. When I am near you, I feel something that changes me. But if you stay, you will no longer be what you are. You will become light like us. You will not touch, you will not breathe, but you will never be alone again." Eli stepped closer, looking into her glowing eyes. "You said you wanted to feel again. Maybe that's what life is, feeling something even when it hurts." She looked at him silently. Then she whispered, "If you go, we will remember you. If you stay, you will teach us how to dream again." The silence stretched. Eli thought of everything he had lost, his home, his people, his world. And he thought of everything he had found here, curiosity, wonder, and Lyra. He took a deep breath. "And maybe," he said softly, "humanity doesn't end. It just changes." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. She reached out her hand, and this time he didn't hesitate. Her light touched his skin, warm and soft like sunlight. His body began to fade, his form turning to glowing mist. He wasn't afraid. He could feel peace spreading through him. "Like the quiet warmth of morning," Lyra whispered. "Welcome home, Eli Grant." His voice was calm as he replied, "Home is where you find a reason to stay." And then he was gone. His human body dissolved into pure energy, joining the light that surrounded them. The Aorians felt something stir deep within their hearts. For the first time in countless years, they felt emotion so strong it broke their calm. They wept, not from sadness, but from beauty. Across their realm, new lights began to flicker into existence, small stars forming out of the energy that once lay dormant. Each one pulsed with rhythm like a heartbeat. The Aorians looked up in awe. Lyra stood alone in the center of the chamber, her light trembling softly. She could still feel him. Eli inside the world around her. His thoughts, his laughter, his warmth, they were everywhere. She smiled faintly, her voice a whisper carried through the glowing air. "He dreamed," she said. "And now we dream too." From that day on, the Aorians changed. They began to create again, not out of logic but out of feeling. They built worlds filled with color and movement, places shaped by imagination. They told stories, painted light in patterns that carried meaning. They sang without voices, danced without bodies. and whenever they looked to the brightest star in their sky, they remembered the human who taught them how to dream again. Eli Grant, the last man of Earth, had become something greater. Not a hero, not a god, but a spark that turned silence into song. He had fallen asleep as a lonely man in a broken ship. He had awakened as the light that rekindled a civilization's heart,